Hello, welcome to your final exam. I will be reading the final exam. Just a reminder, there is the first Google slide will have this video in its entirety, and then you can go to each Google slide to read and look at one question individually. Here we go. Part 1, multiple choice. Directions. Read each question and answer choice carefully and choose the one best answer. Write your answer on the line and the bubble sheet in the answer on your Scantron. Only your Scantron will be graded. We are on the topic of immigration. Memory joggers. Most immigrants entered the United States through Ellis Island and were welcomed by the Statue of Liberty. Most immigrants who arrived in the United States needed to find jobs and ended up working in factories. Push factors are reasons why immigrants wanted to leave the country. Pull factors are reasons why immigrants wanted to go to a new country. Question 1. Base your answers to question 1 on the poem below and your knowledge of social studies. What is the author's view on immigration? The source is The New Colossus by Emma Larzis. It's located on the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. What is the author's view on immigration? The author did not want immigrants to come to the United States. The author was bored and wanted to write a poem. The author wanted to welcome new immigrants to the United States. The poem has no message. Question 2. Why did immigrants settle in large cities? Cities had plenty of farmland. Cities had plenty of jobs for new immigrants. There was no farmland available. Immigrants came mainly from large cities in their home country. Question 3. What problems did immigrants face in big cities? There were not a lot of jobs available in factories. There were too many laws for landlords or apartment owners. There were too many people living in a small area, and the cities were very crowded. There were no schools for children. Base your answer to question 4 on the cartoon below and your knowledge of social studies. I'm going to just make it a little smaller for the purposes of this question. Okay. Number 4. The sign here says, notice no Chinamen allowed in the United States, right next to the Golden Gate of Liberty. According to the cartoon, which of the following is true about Chinese immigrants? Chinamen were not allowed to enter the United States. Chinamen were allowed to enter the country only if their fathers were U.S. citizens. Chinamen entered through El Paso, Texas. The Golden Gates of Liberty allowed everyone into the United States. Okay. The Industrial Revolution. Memory joggers. Products are made faster and cheaper. Inventions made life easier for Americans. Businesses were run by corporate owners. Workers had unsafe working conditions and were paid low wages. Question 5. How does mass production change the price of goods? Mass production does not change the price of goods. The price of goods became more expensive with mass production. The price of goods became cheaper with mass production. The price of goods stayed the same with mass production. Question 6. All of the following factors helped the United States become an industrial nation in the late 1800s, except new inventions, large number of immigrants, forced labor by Native Americans, plentiful natural resources. Question 7. How do monopolies impact other businesses? Monopolies allow for more business competition and make goods more affordable. Monopolies make it easier on the small businessmen to get into an industry. Monopolies drive down the price of goods. Monopolies reduce business competition in an industry and make goods more expensive. Question 8. Base your answer to question 8 on the photo below and your knowledge of social studies. Using the above photo, how did the factory workers react to the poor working conditions in the late 1800s? The signs say strike, 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 8 hours of work, strike, 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 strike. Using the above photo, how did factory workers react to the poor working conditions in the late 1800s? Factory workers went on strike to bargain for better working conditions. Factory workers moved out of the country. Factory workers worked more hours to earn more money to bribe corrupt managers. Factory workers led a revolution of the American government. Okay. Smaller. Here we go. Base your answer to question 9 on the graph below and your knowledge of social studies. This is the gross earnings of the railroad from years 1860, 1870, and 1880, and these are the earnings. In the 1800s, what was the approximate gross earning of the railroads? Take 2. In 1880, what was the approximate gross earnings of the railroad? $100 million, $350 million, $500 million, $550 million. We are now in westward expansion. Your memory joggers. Manifest destiny equals C2 shining sea. The United States settled the boring Great Plains and built the Transcontinental Railroad to help. Western settlers and indigenous people fought over land in the West. Indigenous peoples were treated unfairly by Western settlers. You did not see that typo there. Here we go. Question 10. A belief that America should expand from ocean to ocean was called manifest destiny, reservations, the Transcontinental Railroad, or the Transcontinental Choo-Choo Train, and the Homestead Act. Question 11. The United States government wanted to expand west for all of the following reasons except manifest destiny, to gain land from the Atlantic to the Pacific Oceans. B, to get more natural resources. C, to defend the British in the American Revolution. D, to gain more land. Base your answer to question 12 on the map below and your knowledge of social studies. What is the historical event in Utah that is being illustrated by the map? You have the Race to Utah, Central Pacific Railroad, Union Pacific Railroad, Sacramento, Promontory Point Summit, and Omaha. What is the historical event in Utah that is being illustrated by the maps? The moving of indigenous people onto reservations, the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in Utah, the California Gold Rush, or the Oregon Trail. Question 13. What was the biggest impact of the Transcontinental Railroad or the Transcontinental Choo-Choo Train? It eliminated trade with Europe. It made it faster and cheaper to ship goods across the United States. It decreased businesses in the West. It helped to rebuild the South after the Civil War. Okay. Base your answers to question 14 on the photo below and your knowledge of social studies. 14. The above drawing helps us to understand what about the buffalo? The buffalo was a very tasty animal to eat. The buffalo was used by indigenous peoples for many parts of their lives. The buffalo was not useful to the people of the Great Plains. The buffalo and the natives lived in harmony together. The Progressive Era, your memory joggers. Issue is an important topic or problem that sparks the need for change. A solution is a change to address an issue. The Progressive Era was how they found solutions for issues to help people in need. 15. What was not a lasting impact of the Progressive Era? The Progressive Era created solutions to regulate child labor. Labor unions bargained for safer working conditions, shorter workdays, and higher wages. The 18th Amendment was passed and banned alcohol permanently. Laws were created to regulate big businesses to break up monopolies. Base your answer to question 16 on the chart below and your knowledge of social studies. According to the chart above, what was not a major belief of progressives? Belief of progressives. People can improve society by relying on science and knowledge. Industrialization and urbanization causes issues. Government should address issues caused by industrialization and urbanization. Government itself should be reformed in order to achieve lasting reform in society. According to the above chart, what was not a major belief of progressives? Only wealthy people should have safe living conditions. People can improve society by relying on science and knowledge. Industrialization and urbanization cause issues. Government should address issues caused by industrialization and urbanization. Number 17. What form of journalism exposed unfair and immoral business practices to the American public during the Progressive Era? News anchors, tabloids, fake news, or muckrakers? Base your answers to question 18 on the cartoon below and your knowledge of social studies. You have the Senate, you have lawmakers. What issues from the Progressive Era in the cartoon is trying to bring attention to? Hint, the bigger the person is in political cartoons, the richer they are. The American people are controlling the government. Big businesses had no control in government. Rich business owners are controlling the laws being made. The president is controlling the government. Base your answers to question 19 on the headline below and your knowledge of social studies. What right does the 19th Amendment guarantee? The source of this is the 19th Amendment of the United States Constitution. The right of its citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of gender. What right does the 19th Amendment guarantee? Guarantees the voting right for all genders, guarantees voting rights for Black Americans, guarantees voting rights for all citizens, guarantees voting rights for children. Number 26. Number 20. I don't know why I said 26. Number 20. What was not a goal of workers and labor unions in the 1800s? Better working conditions, longer work days, better pay, job safety. Base your answer to question 21 on the photo below and your knowledge of social studies. Lewis Hine took photos such as this to illustrate the position that many U.S. companies were paying for children to get on-the-job training out of high school, employing children in dangerous working places as a source of cheap labor, provide safe working conditions for children, celebrate Employee of the Month. Base your answer to question 22 on the photo below and your knowledge of social studies. The signs say white and colored. The photo above is an example of Jim Crow laws. What impact did Jim Crow laws have? They provided unequal opportunities for Black Americans in housing, jobs, and education. Gave better opportunities for women. They created laws which made it legal to discriminate against Indigenous peoples. Gave Black Americans equal rights. We are in the Roaring 20s, 1920s, and the Great Depression. Memory joggers. The 1920s were called the Roaring 20s because the economy was booming. The 1930s were called the Great Depression because the economy was in trouble and a lot of people lost their jobs. Just not me fixing these errors here. Here we go. 23. How did the rise of the auto industry and the invention of cars help Americans? The number of Americans were inspired to buy cars so they could travel faster and faster. Millions of workers left jobs making steel, rubber, and glass for car parts. A record number of Americans spent billions of dollars on life insurance. Millions of workers asked for raises to pay off their car loans. In the 1920s were referred to as the Roaring 20s because of the explosion in the popularity of rock music, Southern influence on the era, booming economy, and exciting forms of entertainment, reference to the decades as such in The Great Gatsby. What was one effect of unemployment in the 1930s? The divorce rate nearly tripled. Banks pardoned thousands of farm mortgages. Hooverville sprang up in the nation's cities because many people were homeless. Most industries gave top jobs to married women. Imperialism, memory joggers. Imperialism, a bigger country taking over a smaller country for money, land, and power. The United States was isolated. All by myself. And then turned into imperialism. Base your answer to question 26 on the cartoon below and your knowledge of social studies. It says Canada, Atlantic Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Mexico, Gulf of Mexico. And Uncle Sam is saying all by myself. This cartoon is an example of, what is Uncle Sam singing? Is that foreign policy, imperialism, westward expansion, or isolationism? Which of the following are examples of domestic policy? Making peace treaties with other countries and sending soldiers overseas. Building new schools and creating laws about driving age. Trading goods with foreign nations and meeting with world leaders. Giving money to other countries and signing international agreements. Number 28. Which of the following are examples of foreign policy? Building new schools and fixing roads in your state. Making deals with other countries and helping friendly nations. Setting speed limits and opening new libraries. Creating jobs and lowering taxes for families. Which is an example of imperialism? Two countries making a trade deal. A strong country taking over a weak country for its land and riches. Countries working together to solve problems. Countries sharing resources equally. Our World War I topic. Memory joggers. The causes of World War I. Think Maine. The Allied powers, they were the good guys. Great Britain, Russia, and the United States. The Central Powers, they were the bad guys. Germany, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, the Ottoman Empire. The Allies, or the good guys, won. Question 30. Which of the following options below correctly indicate the cause of World War I? neutrality, expansionism, alliances, and imperialism, militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism, expansionism, alliances, imperialism, and the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. Base your answer to 31 on the quote below and your knowledge of social studies. Question 31. The following quote best describes the source is an extract from the diary of Private Charles Blackmore, January 1917. I sensed something strange in the atmosphere and quickly turned around. Some distinctly yellow gas tumbled in at high speeds. I let out a frenzied cry, "Gas! Gas!" All the British soldiers halted on the spot and fumbled as they desperately tried to pull out their gas masks. At the time, the gas masks didn't provide efficient protection from the gas particles, but it was better than nothing. I quickly looked around and saw George and some other soldiers hurrying away from the gas. The following best describes life in the trenches, life in the German U-boats, life on the Zeppelin, life in a tank. Base your answer to question 32 on the cartoon below and your knowledge of social studies. The political cartoon above represents which cause of World War I? We have the British grab bag, the German grab bag, at Africa, Asia. The political cartoon above best represents which cause of World War I? Militarism, alliances, imperialism, or nationalism. We are now into World War II. Memory joggers. Allied powers, the good guys during World War I, the United States, Great Britain, Soviet Union, and Italy. The Central Powers are the bad guys during World War II, Germany and Austria-Hungary. There were shortages of good, and Americans at home needed to make big changes to make sure there was enough supplies and food for the people at home and for the men fighting in World War II. Base your answer to question 34 on the cartoon below and your knowledge of social studies. It says Hitler, the Treaty of Versailles. Ooh, this is question 33. According to the cartoon above, the Treaty of Versailles at the end of World War I led to the rise of which European leader? Mussolini, Stalin, Hitler, or Churchill? Number 34. Which event caused the United States to enter World War II? Japan attacked the United States at Pearl Harbor. Germany invaded Poland. The United States dropped the atomic bomb on Japan. The Nazis killed millions of Jews. Number 35. Which statement most accurately describes how World War II impacted the home front? American homes were bombed, factories were closed, and food production declined. Factory production went down, women lost rights, and Americans lost jobs. Gasoline was rationed, people planted victory gardens, and more women went to work. Unemployment went up, businesses overproduced, and farms failed. Part 2. Map questions. Identify the geographic region by identifying the corresponding letter in the region using the map below. Fill in the corresponding bubbles on your answer sheet. Base your answers to question 36 and 40 on the cartoon below and your knowledge of social studies. Okay. Question 36, identify the Mississippi River. Question 37, identify the Rocky Mountains. Question 38, identify the Appalachian Mountains. Question 39, identify the Great Plains. Question 40, identify the Great Lakes. Base your answers to question 41 through 45 on the map below and your knowledge of social studies. Question 41. Identify Europe. Question 42. Identify North America. Question 43. Identify Asia. Question 44. Identify the Atlantic Ocean. Question 45. Identify the Pacific Ocean. Your short answer questions. This is where you're going to type your responses into the Google Forms. Okay? I'm not grading your test booklet. Record your answer using the documents provided in your knowledge of social studies. Your answers must be in complete sentences, and you must use evidence from your text to support your answer. Record all answers on the Google form posted in Google Classroom. If you don't have your Chromebook, your proctor should give you a handwritten Part 2 sheet. Document 1, American Progress, painted by John Gass, 1872. Question 1. Identify the author's point of view concerning westward expansion in the United States. Use at least one piece of evidence from Document 1 to support your answer. Your graphic organizer to help. Identify the author's point of view. You can use the sentence starter. The author's point of view concerning westward expansion is. Evidence. You can use the sentence starter. The painting shows. Again, type your answer in Google Forms. Document 2. Explain the author's view on immigration in the United States. Use at least one piece of evidence from Document 2 to support your answer. This is a poem titled The New Colossus by Emily Larzis. It's from 1883. It's found on the base of the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refused of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Explain the author's point of view on immigration in the United States. Use at least one piece of evidence from Document 2 to support your answer. This is the graphic organizer to help you organize your thoughts. I am not grading this, but you can use this. Identify the author's point of view. You can use the sentence starter. The author's point of view concerning immigration is. Your evidence, sentence starter, the document states. Type your answer in Google form. Document 3. Here we go. Explain the historical circumstances that led to President Franklin D. Roosevelt's "A Date Which Will Live in Infamy" speech to Congress. Use at least one piece of evidence from Document 3 to support your answer. This was addressed to the Congress asking that a state of war be declared between the United States and Japan. December 8th, 1941. It's given by speech by President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. The United States was at peace with the nation, and the solicitation of Japan was still in conversation with its government and its emperor, looking towards the maintenance of peace in the Pacific. Indeed, 1 hour after Japanese air squadrons had commenced bombing the American island of Oahu, the Japanese ambassador to the United States and his colleagues delivered to our Secretary of State a formal reply to a recent American message. And while this reply stated it seemed useless to continue the existing diplomatic negotiations, it contained no threat or hint of war of armed attack. I ask that Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 17, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire. Explain the historical circumstances that led to President Franklin Roosevelt, a date which will live in infamy, speech to Congress. Use at least one piece of evidence from document 3 to support your answer. This is the graphic organizer. I am not grading this. You're using this to organize your thoughts. Explain historical circumstances. You can use the sentence starter. The historical circumstances that led to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a date which will live in infamy, speech are. Evidence. You can use the sentence starter. The document states. Type your answer in Google form. That's all she wrote. All right. I hope it was okay. Have a great summer. Mwah.